Hello people of YouTube, it's Deephack here, and welcome to DCS World 2.9.1 and Heat Blur Simulation's AJS37 Viggen module. Welcome to Tutorial 6, Rockets. Today I'm going to demonstrate the use of the ARAK M70B 135mm unguided rockets. These are the standard rocket pods available for the Viggen, and they're available in both high explosive and armour-piercing variants. Today I have the high explosive ones loaded. Armour-piercing almost certainly won't penetrate a tank or something like that, but lightly armoured vehicles they should definitely be effective on. You can see here the maximum possible loadout of these pods. I've got 4 of these, each pod containing 6 rockets. They can be installed on pylons 2, 3, 5 and 6. Completing my loadout today is on the centre line, pylon 4, I have an X-tank, and on pylons 1 and 7 I have sidewinders for self-defence. These rockets can be used in 3 different modes. We have planned attack, quick attack, and long range attack. Planned attack being the standard way that you'll make use of them, most attacks in the Viggen being planned. In this mode you have a pre-designated target location using a target waypoint, and you engage the target using radar ranging for the greatest level of accuracy. Quick attack allows you to engage targets of opportunity while still in nav master mode by simply flipping up the trigger safety, and you can then use triangulation to attack a target of opportunity without even using the radar. Quick attack mode using triangulation makes use of the barometric altimeter and your current pitch angle to calculate a slant range. In this way it's very similar to the ARBS system that you see in aircraft like the Harrier. This mode is of course slightly less accurate and requires you to have as accurate as possible a QFE set in your barometric altimeter. We'll cover that later. And then the final attack method is long range attack. This allows you to push an attack out a little bit further, kind of using the rockets like artillery almost. It's far less accurate, and usually you're going to use triangulation for this. So of course those same inaccuracies apply, and you need to do a little bit of setup with the QF. So for starters we're going to do a planned attack. So for planned attack, there's a little bit of setup that we require to do first. Of course, we need to define one of our waypoints as a target point, so we'll do that first. If I flip the computer master mode all the way around to tactical, first thing you'll notice is that in output mode, it actually tells us the status of our weapons. It actually displays if weapons are present on the different pylons. It doesn't tell us about pylon 4, the centre pylon, but in our case we only have an X-tank there anyway. But you can see pylons 1, 2 and 3, and then you have 5, 6 and 7 in these different windows here. Number 1 indicates that a weapon is present, a dash would indicate that there's a weapon present but it has had a fault, and a 0 would indicate no weapon present. We're now going to switch to input master mode, and we're in tactical, and we're going to enter code 9 and select B3, thus converting waypoint B3 to M3, target point. I'm also going to define a pop-up point. Today we're going to fly inbound 230 degrees from 10 kilometers away, and I'm going to register that against waypoint B3 as well. That creates our pop-up. You now put the system back into output and back into actual position. Now taking a little look at the right-hand console here, we have the weapons selector. This knob on the left-hand side, weapon selector knob. We need to make sure that this is in the correct position for the weapon we intend to employ, otherwise they won't come off the rail. We're basically telling the computer what we intend to use. In attack mode, this is a very generic mode, we're able to employ the rockets, and that is the only mode in which the rockets will operate. So, attack on the weapon selector, and then you also have what would normally be the weapons release mode switch. Usually it's a series or impulse. This would mean basically like salvo or individual release. In the case of the ARAK though, you'll see that on the label, ARAK is listed on the left-hand side, and on the left-hand side of the switch it can either be normal release or LA release, LA being long-range attack. So we'll flip this switch when we do the long-range attack later in this video. However, for now we need to have it in the normal position. It needs to be up in order to do a standard release. Now, moving over to the left-hand side of the cockpit, you can see our master mode switch. In order to do a planned attack, we'll need to flip this switch to ANF, which is the attack master mode. However, I'll do that once we approach the target a bit more closely. During our approach, we'll leave it in nav master mode. I actually have this assigned to my HOTAS, so you won't see me flip this, but I will call out when I do it. You also have the option of using the radar up until you begin the attack to give yourself a bit of extra situational awareness. I will do that as well when the time comes. And last bit of setup that we're going to want to do is actually set the QFE for the target. We're going to use radar ranging for a planned attack, so this isn't super important, but out of habit you should basically always set the QFE before beginning an attack. Here on the kneeboard we can see waypoint B3, which is now actually M3, has a QFE of 1013. It's very close to sea level. So let's go ahead and make sure that's set. You can see it is in fact already set. We would use this knob to adjust the numbers in this window. I'm making sure it's on 1013 just now. Another thing to note, the Viggen, unlike NATO aircraft, has a trigger safety instead of a master arm. You'll see on the top of the stick here, I can flip this little trigger safety up and down. It mechanically blocks the trigger, so while it's down, I cannot pull the weapons release trigger. Also, it contains a micro switch, and when it's flipped up, it actually changes the symbology. You're basically informing the onboard computer you intend to do a weapons release soon. So see here, I'm in nav master mode. If I flip the trigger safety up, I immediately get weapons symbology. So I'm basically telling the avionics that I intend to release weapons. For now, we're going to leave it in the down position. The procedure is going to be that we're going to fly out to the pop-up point, turn in towards the target. We'll switch to attack master mode at that time. Once we're close enough that we want to begin our descent to line up the target, we'll get our weapons pipper on the target. We'll then flip up the safety. We'll wait for correct symbology, and I'll go over the symbology in a moment, and then we will pull the weapons release trigger to release. Oh, actually, a couple of other bits of setup. We want the slave mode off, and we want barometric altimeter set as the altitude source. And before I begin, I'm going to choose B3. That first is actually going to give us guidance to U3, which is the pop-up. Once we fly over the pop-up, it will automatically switch. Note that the symbology on the HUD and the ADI will guide us towards the pop-up point. However, the heading on the central indicator and the range indicated on the right-hand side here are both to the target and not to the pop-up point. But as we did the setup, we know that the pop-up point is about 10 kilometers away from the target. So we should expect this to read at 10 kilometers. Note that we're currently reading 4 miles. And again, these are Swedish miles, so we're about 40 kilometers out from the target. Let's come out of active pause. I'm going to accelerate into zone 1 afterburner, and we're going to turn towards the target. Now I'm flying towards the pop-up point at fairly high altitude here. This is not how you would generally do things. The only reason I'm doing this is so that I get a bit more time to react, and it's easier for me to talk through everything I'm doing. So I'm going to fly towards the pop-up point at about 2,000 meters. I'm going to hit my reference switch when it reads 2.0 on the left-hand side there. Should do so now. There we go. Tapping reference switch, and now I've got symbology for this altitude towards pop-up. Like I said, you probably wouldn't really do this in real life. Oh, and on the way in, I'm going to set radar to A1 position. We then get some additional symbology. I'm going to bring the range down a little. There we go. And I'm going to increase the marker gain. There we go. That's all looking nice. So, we've got some symbology on the central indicator as well. Note that once we start doing radar ranging, that will disappear. Once we're doing radar ranging, the radar can no longer do ground mapping, and it will simply fire a radar beam straight ahead in order to provide us with very accurate ranging to the target. So, continuing inbound, we'll watch that range reading down on the right-hand side. Another thing to note is that in DCS by default, target motion is not taken into account. However, you do have a code that you can type in to the computer to enable that. I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, we're almost at the pop-up point now. That's about 13 kilometers. You can see the range counting down in the HUD as well to the pop-up point. That's quite a handy little indicator for us. Okay, we've overflown the pop-up point. Automatic switch has happened to target point M3. We're going to turn inbound towards the target. I'm flipping master mode now to attack. And we'll see, let me just pause here very quickly, we've now got the attack symbology up on the HUD. So if I look down here, we're in ANF, that's attack master mode. Target location is indicated with a circle. Now note that this is the target location as far as the computer understands it. There could be drift in the navigational system, so before an attack you would tend to do a fix. I'll cover that in a bonus video another time. Let's just assume that for now this is accurate. The dot in the HUD is our weapon's aim point, and then these bars underneath are actually giving us ranging information, or at least they will when it's live. So what will happen is, I'm going to maneuver to place the dot on the target. I will then flip up my trigger safety, and at that time the circle will disappear. So I need to ensure that I have visually acquired the target at that time. The system will begin radar ranging. That will be indicated by a fin appearing about here in the middle of the HUD. And range information will be displayed just as we saw before with the pop-up point, with a line that appears underneath these pegs. The line will be wide and it will start to shrink. As it approaches these outer pegs, which are maximum range, it will flash. The line will flash 2 seconds before we're in range. We will then get wings either side of our aiming point half a second before we're in range. That is our prompt to pull the trigger. At that time, we should pull and hold the trigger. Weapons release will be indicated by the altitude, which is currently on the left, appearing on the right-hand side while weapons release is occurring, and it will then flip back to the left once weapons release is complete. Once that's done, we should pull up away from the target, at least 5G, and evade. If we are too late, we'll get dashed lines, vertical dashed lines either side of the HUD, flashing. That's warning us that we're in danger of entering the frag pattern. We've basically deviated too low towards the target. And that's the entire procedure. Let's get started then. Let's set up the camera and I will demonstrate this attack. One more thing to note is that for the radar ranging or triangulation modes to work correctly, you want to have a nose down angle of 5 degrees or more. Okay, unpaused. Let's get ourselves, on target. Okay, trigger safety up. I've got the targets visually identified. I have the fin for radar ranging. Let's pause again very quickly and just center down on the symbology one more time here. Aiming dot on the target. I'm getting ranging indicated, and that fin tells me that radar ranging is working. I'm now just waiting for symbology. So I should see flashing, then I should see wings. As soon as I see wings, I pull the trigger. Getting ready. Pulling the trigger. Rockets are away, and I pull away. Trigger safety off, and back to nav master mode. And it was that quick. And the system is automatically switched to waypoint 4 now, and I'm flying my egress. So you can see that all happened very, very quickly. Radars come back on automatically as well. I'm going to switch that back to A0. We're now not emitting, and we're getting out of there quick as we can. So that was a complete planned attack mode. Let's see what that looked like from the outside quickly. Good effect on target. And we can see the Viggen was barely even visible from the target location, and it's already outbound, and everyone's already dead. So, good effect, good effect. Let's reset, and you'll rejoin me in the cockpit, where I'll demonstrate a quick attack. Okay, so you rejoin me in the cockpit, and we're going to do a quick attack now. The only bit of setup we need to do for this is to ensure that attack is the weapon selection that you've got in. We're in normal weapons release mode. We don't need to define a target position or anything like that. However, it would be good to use the QFE if at all possible. So QFE, we're near waypoint 2. QFE here is 1012. Let's just enter that in the window because we're going to be using triangulation. So, we're in navigational master mode. There's really nothing else we need to do other than dive towards the target that we've spotted. So let's say I've just spotted a target down here near these trees. We're more than 5 degrees nose down. I flip the trigger safety up and I place my weapons indicator on the target. I've just paused there very quickly. You'll note that we already have ranging information being displayed, but no fin. This is telling us that the system is not using the radar, it's purely using triangulation. So that for the purposes of this release, we want to, as I said, ensure that QFE is correct. So let's continue inbound, and it's going to be release as before. We'll get a flashing line at 2 seconds before in range, we'll get wings when it's time to release, and we will then pull the trigger. I actually pulled the trigger early. I'm going to continue inbound this time, so you can see those flashing vertical lines that are warning me that I'm getting a bit close to the ground. And then trigger safety back down, and the system is straight back into navigational master mode. Nothing else to do. So, very, very simple. Make sure your QFE is set, make sure your weapon selector's in the right position, flip up the safety, fly towards the target, fire when you're in range. There's a reason why it's called Quick Attack. Okay, I'm going to reset the simulation again, and we're one last time we're going to demonstrate the long-range attack. Okay, I've reset everything again. We're now going to go ahead and demonstrate the final way of employing the ARAK rockets, and that is long-range attack. So, much like when I did my planned attack, I'm going to set a target location. So again, waypoint 3, that's now been programmed. I'm not going to bother with a pop-up point this time, we're just going to fly direct inbound. I'm going to go ahead and set my weapon selector to attack. And this time I'm going to flip the weapon release mode switch down into the LA position for ARAK. I'm also going to make a couple of adjustments on the computer keypad here. If I put it back to tactical and input mode, I can enter a couple of codes here. To ensure that we don't use radar ranging for this attack, I'm going to enter the code 253. That disables radar ranging, and then I press LS, and that is now input. So under no circumstances will the radar be used for this. You can also enter the code 211 to disable target motion. However, this is actually off by default now in more recent patches of the Viggen. If you wanted to turn it on, you could enter code 210. Now, just to very quickly address what that does, basically, with target motion on, the system will automatically calculate lead for a target that's moving. This is very, very useful, and this analysis will begin from the moment that you flip up the weapon safety. So you're in attack mode, you put your pipper on the target, and then you start to track the target. So if the target, for example, is moving right to left, you'll slowly drift the pipper right to left following the target. You then flip up the safety while the pipper is on the target, and you continue to follow the target with your pipper. The system will calculate lead, and then when you release, the rockets should hit in the correct location. So, but we're not going to do that today. These targets are not, in fact, moving. I've set B3 as my target location, and I've turned off radar ranging. I'm going to go ahead and select B3 at this time, M3, and it's giving me ranging and indications. As we did with the planned attack, we're going to approach the target in nav mode. When we're a bit closer, I will switch to attack mode, and then once I have my pipper on the target, I'm going to flip up the trigger safety and engage. Oops, that's the pause. That's me out of active pause. Let's go full afterburner and turn in towards the target. Let's see if we can get there nice and quick. And again, I'm going to do this attack at altitude. For the long-range attacks, you're generally probably going to want to be at higher altitudes. That's going to make it a little bit easier. But I'm doing this simply because it's easier for me to explain what I'm doing as I do it, if I fly like this. One last thing that I didn't actually mention before, you have this light on the right-hand side of the cockpit, labelled Feld Last. This will illuminate when the last weapon is released. That's kind of your indication that all weapons are away. If this light flashes at you, however, it means there's been some kind of a failure, and not all weapons came off for whatever reason. So, look out for that, see if you see that one this time. I'm going to fly inbound to about 15 kilometers, and then I'm going to switch to attack master mode. At that time, I'll come out of afterburner, because it's going to be kind of difficult to stay on target. Actually, I might enter attack master mode a little bit early. So we're going nice and fast. That's us right at Mach 1 now. I'm going to switch to attack master mode now. Target location has appeared as a circle. You can see that the radar came on and it's actually displaying an image, simply because the system knows we're not going to use radar ranging today. Oops, I kicked the rudder a little bit there. We're at 15 kilometers now. I'm going to pitch up, just to give us a bit more altitude. I'm now going to pitch down. I'm going to place the Pipper on the target, and it's very, very low because of the range. Let's come back up again. Bit more altitude. Then we can do more pitch down. That's better. Okay, we know where the target is. Trigger safety up. And now what we're looking for, I'm actually just going to pause very quickly. You'll see that we have the range indication at the bottom and we have no fin. So we know for a fact that we're currently not using radar ranging. What we're looking for are the wings either side of the Pipper. That means that we're in parameters for a long-range launch. As soon as we have those, we will immediately fire the weapon. So, there we have wings, firing now. Weapons are all away, off target, trigger safety back down, and we're back into nav master mode, and we can fly outbound. I managed that at about 5 or 6 kilometers. It should be possible to do it all the way out to 7 if you maintain correct parameters. I actually wasn't super good at doing that there. But that's the whole procedure for the long-range attack. Let's take a little look at the effect on target there. Okay, rockets are away. Let's see if we're accurate enough in this long-range employment. Much longer amount of time. Oh, there we go. Okay, that was good. That was good. Can we even see the Viggen right now? We can hear it. Yeah. For the life of me, I cannot even see it. So, there you go. That was the operation of the ARAK M70B unguided rockets in the Viggen. As I mentioned, you've got planned attack, quick attack, and long-range attack. In most cases, you're probably going to want to do the planned attack. That's the one where you have radar ranging, so it's very accurate, and you have a predetermined target position. Quick attacks are very handy though, and of course the long-range attacks will allow you to avoid enemy air defenses if necessary. So, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. You also have the option of further supporting the channel by joining DeepHack's ground crew. Thank you very much to those of you who've already done so. Your names are appearing on the screen now. There's some small benefits, such as being part of the DeepHack's ground crew Discord, and occasionally we do flights together as well. So please consider doing that if you would like to. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.